This is Kits and Wagers. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Chris Owen to talk Game Week 23 in the Premier League. Chris, we don't usually have a show so fresh from our results over the week in our minds. And I sent out a tweet after Tuesday. I was like, you can't go 8-0 without first starting 2-0. And I think I jinxed us because the rest of the week didn't go as well. But happy Friday, Chris. Sorry about some of your bets here, but we're going to get it back.
Yeah, we started really hot. We looked quite good with that. What was the first bet? Was it
Luton Town? We both hit Luton Town. Yeah,
that was fun. We get into the Liverpool bet, which that was the one I liked the most, and then Chelsea just failed to show up, and that didn't work out. And then the Wolves game, they just you can't go down 2-0 inside the first 30 minutes and think that you're going to go out and win a match. That game was the best game of the game week, I think, though. It ended up 4-3 a couple games after stoppage time. From a purely entertaining level, it was the best game. From our bets, probably the worst game.
It was close.
Yeah.
You brought it up. I had raced to 5 corners in that game for Wolverhampton. Shouts to Wolverhampton here. And I was watching. I wasn't, it was during the workday. I could have sworn I saw two or three deflected balls that should have been Wolverhampton corners that weren't given as corners. And it was Wolverhampton went up late in the game. I think they're down 3-2 or something at this point. They were up 4-3 in corners. And then just after that, Manchester United got back-to-back corners, and it finished 5-4 for Manchester United. And it was just what a way to end it. And then this was after, and then, Liverpool tied it up 3-3, and then Kobe Mino had this ridiculous winner, which you had Wolverhampton money line, so that ended your bet as well. Yeah. So it was a couple tough beats for us in that game. Yeah. And I'm also upset about that Liverpool one. I think we were both kind of Liverpool money line, feeling pretty good about Liverpool home against Chelsea, and then we just couldn't get the bets. Just wasn't our time. I had under 1.5 in the first half.
Yeah,
that did not hit, unfortunately. It could have been 3, but Darwin missed that PK. So,
you hit the post a couple other times too.
4 times in the game. I keep seeing tweets about it. How many times he's hitting the post compared to
the
rest of the world.
Somebody in this chat I had was like, yeah, he's leading the Premier League right before the game started. In times hitting the woodwork with 6. I was like, 6 is a ton of times hitting the post. And he goes out and hits
4 in one game.
4 times in that game. I was like, okay, nice, all right. Well, he's got a pretty safe lead on that. Can we get any odds anywhere? Can we put some scratch down on that kind of bet, or what's going on?
Maybe I have seen woodwork odds before. I haven't actually seeked those out, but
yeah,
Darwin odds are probably -200 to hit the post. So
yeah, no one's even gonna come close to it now.
Yeah, but we got Game Week 23 here, and we got 3 games: Everton, Tottenham, Manchester United, West Ham, Arsenal, Liverpool, and then our Team Parlay. Check out our betting pages here over at RotoWire Soccer. Got the Premier League pulled up, but we have a bunch of games going on Friday. You can check those out. So this first one, Everton are home against Tottenham. Everton are plus 195 to win, and Tottenham are plus 135 to win. Away from home, the draw is plus 265. Over 2.5 goals is minus 160. Under 2.5 goals is plus 130. So I hit on at least one bet in the Everton Fulham match. So it was the first time all season, Everton's last match, they gave up 15 corners against Fulham on Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that. But it was the first time all season that they didn't have Idrissa Gueye and Amadou Onana in their midfield. So it was a little bit of a different look. They didn't have either one of their 2 defensive midfielders. So I was just all right, Fulham are just gonna kind of control the midfield here. That's what ended up happening, but they just couldn't score. Tottenham, they're getting very healthy. I guess the one question will be if Pape Sarr is available. I believe Postecoglou mentioned it this morning that he could be back for this one. They were eliminated yesterday or 2 days ago or something like that in AFCON. So he could be available for this one. So something to keep an eye on. But Tottenham in their last game went down against Brentford, came back 1-3-2. A pretty interesting game here. Again, I get back to this Everton lineup. If Idrissa Gueye is ready to start, I think that's like a massive boost because they have a real defensive midfielder in there. If he's also out with Onana, then I do have some questions in that. But go ahead, Chris.
You mentioned what an interesting game that Tottenham Brentford game was. It was super entertaining. It had everything. It had goals from Mapai scored, I think. We had James Madison back in the lineup. I mean, we had
Tony fighting with keepers, Tony scoring.
Yeah, Tony scoring. We had
Vicario talking crap after the game.
Yeah, we had the fake Sonny celebration from Mape. I think is that no? That's the
Madison. No, he did the James Madison celebration.
Yeah, with the darts or whatever. Sick celebration, honestly. And then he does it when they go up. Was it 1-0? And then of course Tottenham comes back. That game had it all. It was such a fun game to watch. And I mean, a part of that now is because they're healthy. They've got everyone in the lineup that they. I mean, you mentioned Popstar. He would be a good addition too. But outside of that, we've got Madison in his first start. We've got Van de Ven, who's been playing. We have their outside backs are strong. Romero. They've got everyone in the lineup to pretty much essentially be their best 11 or close to their best 11. Missing Son, obviously. Well, he's still in AFCON, but Richarlison is going nuts lately. He's not arguably, I think he is the player in the best form right now in terms of scoring goals. He scored 6 goals in his last 7 matches, with a total of 7 in those 7 matches. His anytime goal scoring is plus 185. If you love good goal scoring bet, I would maybe swing that way. I am a little weary. Everton pretty good defensively. I think one thing I wanted to ask you about here is Everton. You look at in terms of playing at home, they've given up only I think 11 goals away at home.
Well, there's been 23 goals scored in Everton home matches, which is the fewest of any team in the league.
Yeah, they've given up just 10 goals at home, 10 goals at home, and 12 goals at home. That's what 6th best in the league, behind the usual suspects: City, Liverpool, Newcastle, Arsenal, West Ham, Villa, who have all been super good at home. The big difference between those teams and Everton is those teams have scored 25 plus goals, whereas Everton have 11 goals in 11 matches. They have not been able to find the back of the net. Been good defensively. On the other side of that, Tottenham lead the league in goals. Scored away from home. They're tied with City. They both scored 24 goals away from home. So what kind of gives in this match? Is it Tottenham just goes, they smash down some doors and find the back of the net for a couple goals, or do you think it's a bit more of like a 1-0 game or a 2-0 game?
I don't know. This is a tough one. I actually changed my bet. I went back and forth in it like 5 times this morning, and I ended up with an extreme corners bet here. But I don't know how this result is going to be. Everton have just been kind of like one of these more difficult teams where they rack up XG. They get all these shots, maybe outside of that Fulham match, though they did have some opportunities in that one. They get all these shots, but they just can't score. They lose matches 1-0. I think even the Luton Town match, they lost at home. I think that was 2-1. They ended up with over 3 XG, something like that. They get all these opportunities. They just can't convert. And I'm still tentative. I just want to see what this lineup looks like because, as I mentioned, they got all these questions. We know Doucouré's out. Onana probably not going to be ready to start. Andre Gomez has been getting starts as well, but he's out. So I think if Gueye is in there, if they have a real defensive midfielder, then that'll help them. They played Ashley Young in a midfield role last game against Fulham. Again, just another question. It's like, okay, we're so desperate that we need to start Ashley Young. So I just have questions in terms of that. Whereas Tottenham, a lot more options, a lot healthier. Maybe I won't say a lot healthier, but they're just a deeper team clearly. So I don't know what side I don't know what side I like. I don't know what over under I like. So that's why I'm going with a different route here with my bet. What's your bet?
I'm on Tottenham over 1.5 goals. They've been fun in the back of the net for the most part. Scored. They did get shut out in that FA Cup match, but otherwise, I mean, they drew Manchester United 2-2. They just beat Brentford 2-2 or 3-2. They prior to that, they did only score one goal in the FA Cup, but in the Premier League, they've been fine on the back of that, no problem. This is probably my favorite bet of my 4 bets this weekend. Spurs over 1.5 goals -110. Richarlison, as I mentioned, can't be stopped. They're pretty healthy. I just like what they're bringing to the table. And although Everton are extremely, extremely tight at the back at home, I think that Tottenham's ability to score, they're, like I mentioned, they're leading the league in goals with City away from home. I think it's over 1.5. And I don't know. This is a fun game. I won't be. It's a 4:30 local game for me, so I probably will not be up for it. But one other interesting note that I heard in the past, and initially I was on Tottenham money line. I kind of covered it out on that one, but they've only lost one game with James Madison in the lineup this season. That was a 4-1 when he actually played half of the game, and they lost to Chelsea. So they've been when they're fully kitted up with the whole roster, and James Madison pulling the strings through the middle, they are a very good team. So.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the results. You said, well, first off, you said this was your favorite bet. This is probably my least favorite bet of the 4 we have in the show. But these teams played December 23rd, ended up being 2-1. A bunch of stuff happened. Romero got injured. Gay got injured in the first half. So a lot of changes. Tottenham had to finish with Ben Davies and Eric Dyer at center back. Eric Dyer, Bayern Munich's top center back. That's who Tottenham was playing in that game. And then that one still finished 2-1. Tottenham got the win at home. So my bet, I initially had Tottenham race to 5 corners, and just the way that bet, I think, kind of depends on who actually starts for Everton. So I kind of moved away from that a little bit. Tottenham are a team that tend to give up a lot of corners for some reason. They're one of the worst in the league in terms of allowing corners. And so that was kind of worrying for me. But this is a pretty big number here. Over 11.5 corners is plus 105. I almost took over 5.5 in the first half, but I'll get the second half here in case someone's chasing. There's 11 corners in that first meeting. Everton had 8 of them. I think both teams are going to get corners. I think this is going to be – I think Tottenham will probably have majority possession. They'll probably be 55, 60%. Everton will go on the counter and get corners because Tottenham, for some reason, seem to allow corners. So I think both teams will get – you could do a bet if you want to do maybe both teams over 4.5 corners. Both teams get to 5 corners, something like that. That might be even a plus 200, something like that. But I think there's going to be one of these teams is going to be maybe one of these teams is chasing. One of them is going to get 7 or 8, and then I think the other one's going to get 4 or 5. So let's just say we'll get to 12 or 13 corners in this game or more. And this is a lot of corners, but I think it's going to happen. So let's do it. Over 11.5 corners plus 105. You have Tottenham over 1.5 goals at minus 110. What do you think, corners?
Yeah, that's a lot of corners to get to, but I mean, I kind of for our last game week's bet, I looked at the Tottenham corners because I took a City corners bet. And I mean, there's been a ton of corners in some of their games too. So I love it here. I think I've got the corners bets will keep coming throughout the show here. So this is just probably the first of many for us. Yeah, I mean, I think Spurs will probably just hold. Everton's going to sit back and probably play pretty defensive, and Spurs will just keep them under pressure throughout most of the 90.
Yeah. Next game we're talking, so that game was Saturday. We got 5 games Saturday, but we're not talking 2 games on Sunday. This first one, Manchester United, our home against West Ham. Manchester United are minus 155. Look at all this love here. So again, on the RotoWire sports betting pages, you can see line movement, and this was yesterday. 10 a.m. yesterday, Manchester United were minus 130. Now, after some goal scoring, Marcus Rashford gets a start, scores immediately for Erik ten Hag, despite what happened for him last week. Now they're at minus 155 to win this one. West Ham are plus 400. West Ham probably should have lost against Bournemouth, but they got a PK and managed a point out of that one. Also, Thursday's game. The draw is plus 330, and then we're looking at over 2.5 goals is minus 165. Under 2.5 goals is plus 130. Manchester United healthy. West Ham, some questions. Calvin Phillips, some questions. So I watched a lot of the beginning of that game for Calvin Phillips. He was at fault for the goal allowed, kind of lazy passing. His next move was, I think he passed the other team, then he committed a foul. It was just kind of a rough 10 minutes. Only went 70 minutes. I don't know what happened to him the last couple of years at Manchester City. Clearly just doesn't have the minutes in him. I don't know. West Ham looked really bad against Bournemouth, even though they got the point. I guess the question is, do you think Manchester United can put together back-to-back good matches here against a West Ham team who are just similar to Everton? They're just bottom of the table in terms of possessing the ball. So do you think they're going to play well with that possession, I guess is the question.
Yeah, something's got to give in this match. I'm curious to see how it changes here. West Ham, they got the David Moyes setup, which has really worked for them. But yeah, they're United has gotten healthy. I mean, Marcus Rashford is back. Men in Blazers had a hilarious Instagram. It was like, he's back on the piss. Immediately scores. So that was fun to see. The double standard of Rashford going out in the nightclub and then come back in the lineup and scoring is just not lost on any of us. And I frankly love it. I mean, he's a great player, but yeah, in terms of this game, I had a couple things I wrote down initially. Marcus Rashford plus 175. Anytime goal scoring odds, he found the back of the net. And the last one, this one is a little bit funky because West Ham are traditionally pretty defensive. There's a couple. I think West Ham double chance was plus 120, which is not something you see every day. But for me, I try to take a book out of Adam's book, take a chapter out of Adam's book.
Out of my book.
Yeah. I found, luckily we have this really nice, this cheat sheet here on RotoWire.com. And I just kind of was playing around with what some of the corners look like. And I was surprised to see that I think it's Manchester United, in terms of the corners that they give up a game. They are giving up, let's see, at home. They're at home this game. They're giving up just over 5.6 corners per game. And then, West Ham. This is why we write this down. Manchester United, first in corners, one at home. They have 8.65 corners, one at home per 90 minutes. And then when you look at West Ham, they're third in corners conceded away. It's 7.64. So a fair bit of you just like the numbers there. So I'm taking like I said, a chapter out of Adam's book here on the corners bet. I initially had Manchester United over 6.5 corners, which is plus 100. I was like, okay, if we're gonna bet on 7 corners, we might as well go to race to 7 corners. So you can get Manchester United race to 7 corners. It's plus 115. You get slightly better odds there. I think we're gonna see West Ham under under playing quite defensively. They're going to be under attack. I think United possessed it a fair bit, even though you did state maybe not the biggest possession team, but I like the race of 7 corners here at plus 115.
It's a lot of corners. I usually take race to 5 corners. All right, Chris.
Yeah.
So
I know.
It is a lot of corners, but as you said, the numbers. I think those. It seems like we'd have to look at all these games of why those numbers are like that, but probably because Manchester United have to chase a lot of games at home. So they've probably had a few games where they've had over 10 corners and have been down a couple goals. Was it this season? Was it this season where they gave up 2 goals to Nottingham Forest early and then they had to come back? That could have been last season. I don't know. I'm just getting everything confused here, but
I mean, they did lose to Nottingham Forest, but that was away.
Okay.
I don't know if they haven't probably played that reverse fixture yet.
Yeah, I actually didn't pull up the stats from this last game, but again, this game was the last time these teams played at West Ham. West Ham won 2-0. This was December 23rd, so just about a month ago. Corners were 4-4. Manchester United at 66% possession, West Ham at 34% possession, which again is something we expect to see here. But I think the big thing is just in terms of West Ham, they I don't know. I think there's some recency bias just going into my head here because West Ham looked, without Paqueta and Kudus seems like to be their only creative player really on the wing against Bournemouth. They just didn't look that great. I mean, if we just look at their projected lineup, it's like, okay, JWP, Suchek, Phillips, Alvarez, all four guys can basically play as defensive midfielders. They're
Yeah.
just kind of feeding the ball to Kudus as much as possible because, like, Bowen's a good player, but I don't know if he's not the type of creative player as a Paquetá or a Kudus.
Like a poacher.
So yeah, so that just like that's fresh in my mind, and maybe something else happens in this one. Um, Maybe Manchester United look terrible again, kind of a thing. But I had to look a few different places. I almost went to like Rafael Varane to get a shot, kind of correlated to yours. Rafael Varane to get a shot from one of the corners, kind of a thing. But I went something else here.
Whoa.
Manchester United, 19 or more shots at plus 100. So if we think, they had 11 shots in the prior meeting, which is kind of worrisome. They had 21 against Wolverhampton yesterday. But if we just think, okay, Manchester United, they looked maybe one of their better games all season, at least in the first half. They looked like a top 4 side in the first half against Wolverhampton yesterday. And if they're going to have 60+% possession, if you have this weird West Ham lineup who, throw Calvin Phillips in there, just it doesn't seem like these guys know how to play together just yet. So then you got like I don't know if I want to say pissed off Rashford just kind of want to show the world what he can do. And I just think that if they're going to have the possession, let's just try and get up to 20 plus shots again, kind of a thing. So we're getting plus odds here. Hopefully West Ham, their 4 defensive midfielders doesn't hold them to 10 shots again, something like that. But Manchester United, they're at home. Maybe they're going to show Old Trafford something. Maybe they're going to repeat that performance. Maybe, but 19 or more shots at plus 100. Chris, you're at race to 7 corners at plus 115. So, I mean, I don't know how much is his recency bias for us, but again, it's how these teams play. Manchester United, inconsistent. West Ham, they don't possess the ball. I don't know. We're speaking so quickly after these games happen. It's like everything's fresh in our minds. So it seems like our bets are kind of related to what just happened, but
have to be, right? What we need here is a Jared Bowen, counterattack, maybe 7th minute, 9th minute, finds the back of the net. It's 1-0 West Ham.
I think it's possible. I think that's possible.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm wishful thinking too, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities. But yeah, West Ham hits United on a counter early. United's like, okay, we're down a goal. We got to just slam some shots on goal. Maybe another West Ham counterattack. It's 2-0 all of a sudden. And then we've just got United all out on West Ham's goal here. We're getting shots. We're getting corners. That would be an ideal scenario for both of our bets. I don't know that that'll happen, but I do think West Ham's definitely. I mean, you mentioned they're essentially playing like 4 holding midfielders and then just chucking the ball to Kudus and seeing if Jared Bowen can lash onto something. It will be Paqueta's. He must be hurt right now.
Yeah, I don't think he's ready.
Okay.
No, he's not ready.
Yeah, that would be a different dynamic for them. But yeah, it's like when you have like 4 really solid players and you're like kicking the ball around, but you just can't beat anyone one-on-one. That's essentially what West Ham's trotting out there in their midfield right now, aside from Kudus.
Like they started JWP, James Ward-Prowse, on the wing against Bournemouth, and he wasn't even getting the ball pretty off. He's just not like that kind of outside creative kind of player. He's just this dead ball specialist. He was pretty much always a holding midfielder for Southampton, maybe sometimes a little more attacking, but he's just not a guy to go out on the wing and take someone on one-on-one kind of a thing, as Chris does his goal celebration.
I love the JWP and the Madison celebration are probably 2 of my favorites. The darts, and then JWP does is it cricket or it's got to be cricket?
I think it's golf.
Oh, is it golf?
Or pretty sure.
Probably not baseball, let's say, but he scores and then goes. I thought it was cricket. Maybe he's a golfer, but that swing looks too high to be a golf swing.
Maybe he's never played golf before. You don't know.
Okay, well, it's a cricket
golf
swing.
Celebration without playing golf.
Yeah, sick celebration either way.
Yeah, I mean, let's get if we go. So first goal is West Ham plus 175 if you want to bet that. But actually, let's just do Kudus first goal. He's plus 650, or
you don't want
Bowen first goal plus 600.
I'd rather have Bowen first goal, but that's just
Yeah, I think that's where we go. We get Kudus out. Maybe Luke Shaw's out of position or something. Kudus on the wing on a counter, and then he's going 1-on-1 against whoever Martinez
Diogo
or
Dalot.
Uran. Delo is going to be up the field as well, so it's going to be two
Yeah.
on
There's
two
no way he's in
basically.
position.
Or we even get Kudus gets a shot, saved by Onana. Thomas Suchek gets the rebound, plus 1,200 first goal. There's your
Why
bet.
even watch the game at this point? I mean, I think we just Nostradamus it.
There's your bet. There's your bet. And then we're gonna get, Manchester United 25 shots, Manchester United 10 corners as they try and race to come back into the game, kind of thing.
Yep.
But let's not waste anyone's time here. The biggest game of the weekend here: Arsenal home against Liverpool. These teams just played a little bit ago in the cup. Arsenal are plus 125 to win. Liverpool plus 210. Draw is plus 265. Over 2.5 goals, minus 150. Under 2.5 goals, plus 120. Chris, these teams played, what was it, 10 days ago, maybe? First half, Arsenal, probably the better team. Second half, Liverpool got the goals and they got the win 2-0 at Arsenal. So the question is Arsenal gonna? I mean, let's first look at this line movement. So a little bit ago, 10 days ago, maybe even before that FA Cup game, January 22nd, Arsenal were minus 105 to win. Slowly crept up a little bit. Now they're plus 125. And Liverpool were plus 260 to win. Now they're plus 205 to win, plus 210 to win, something like in that area. So we got that in there. Liverpool, who knows how they're going to line up? I have a pretty weird lineup. I actually have Trent Alexander-Arnold in the midfield, starting in the midfield in this game. Just because Connor Bradley has been playing awesome. Joe Gomez has been playing well at left back. So I figure, why not just keep it rolling with these guys at fullback? And then you need TAA on the pitch, put him in the midfield instead of Curtis Jones, something like that. A little different look. Maybe, maybe this Jurgen Klopp final season, maybe he's going to, be a little different here, be a little crazy. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility of that to happen, but I'll leave it to Chris. We talk about Liverpool. This is like probably the fourth straight show or something like that. But what do we got here?
I think this is the second straight show, to be fair.
All right.
We talked about them obviously the Chelsea match the other day. Yeah, interesting lineup. I mean, you can't take Connor Bradley out, can you?
Like, wow. No, I mean, he just had a goal and 2 assists. You can't bench him.
It was like man of the match too. So yeah, I
think back-to-back man of the matches, maybe even because he had maybe 2 assists in the prior game, something like that.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Anyways, guy's been playing out of his mind right now. But Trent came on, Robertson came on late in that match. Joe Gomez has been good enough to keep his place, although hasn't scored or assisted, but still been pretty good. This is a really interesting matchup. The earlier fixture of these teams, well, so they played twice already this season. The Liverpool game was 1-1. That was in Liverpool rather, and then they played on January 7th, so about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, that's January 7th?
Yeah, that was in the FA Cup.
I thought it was like 10 days ago. I'm way off.
It was in the FA Cup, and pretty cagey affair throughout most of it. It was 0-0 up until the 80th minute when Trent got onto I think it was like a free kick, essentially a corner, but a little bit closer. And basically Arsenal own goal, and then they shut down the match with a Luis Diaz second half stoppage time goal to make it 2-0. But yeah, I mean, both were pretty much the strongest teams. I guess Arsenal played Reece Nelson out on the left, which is Martinelli territory.
Well, they also played Havertz in like the number 9, basically.
Yeah, I don't think they didn't have a fully fit team for that one. They were missing
Jesus. A little weird.
Yeah, definitely they're going to run probably Gabriel up top again, but I don't think they had a fully fit team. There was Martinelli. I don't think he was even on the bench.
He was 67.
Okay, he came on, but Gabriel JC he was not ready to start that one either. So
yeah, Zinchenko was out as well.
Yeah, so Arsenal definitely getting a couple key players back here. I looked at this fixture last year. It was 3-2. Saka scored a late penalty. I think it was like 76 minutes. So little historical context. But yeah, I couldn't. This one was probably my toughest one. I went through a number of scenarios. I looked at corners. I looked at the over/under, which I would love to get your take on here. But I was like, this is a bet I've been wanting to take a while for a Liverpool game. I mentioned it last show, but they've got the most points from that they've regained from losing positions. They tend to give up a first half goal. Liverpool does, at a pretty frequent clip. So I took Arsenal first goal. It's minus 130. If you don't, I just think that Liverpool, they come into these games, or they always seem to kind of like not be like switched on in the first 10 to 30 minutes. I think Arsenal,
except against Chelsea.
Yeah, except I mean, Chelsea, as we know, a totally different team than Arsenal. But I've seen the story a couple of times. I like Arsenal scoring to start the match, and you can get that at minus 130. An even better bet that I would love to take, but didn't have the gumption, is Arsenal money line up to the 30th minute. It's plus 245. I could just see a little sloppy play out of the front, out of Liverpool, quick counter. Saka finds Martinelli, and Martinelli just bags it. So this bet is one I've been eyeing for quite a while. But the Arsenal first goal at minus 130. I wish it was like plus odds. I felt a little hard done that it wasn't, but that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I wonder how much that prior game, how much the injuries kind of changed things up. But yeah, I'm going to be on the under here. I was just looking through some of the prior games from last season, why they're high scoring. One of those games, I think, at Liverpool, 2 goals in the first 30 minutes for Arsenal, so that changed things up. Prior to that, Arsenal had a goal in the first minute. That was a 3-2 result. I think this was the last league game these teams played at the Emirates. But, I mean, I'm just not really putting too much into those games. In that one, Liverpool ran out a 4-2-3-1 with Thiago and Jordan Henderson as defensive midfielders. So, I don't know. I think this is going to be more like that prior game. And Arsenal had 54% possession in that game, which I'd have to look at the numbers, but that may be one of their lowest, maybe the lowest number they've had in terms of possession all season, because I think they had more than that when they played Manchester City. So I found that pretty interesting that Liverpool, they did enough to just stop Arsenal from being, this ball dominant team. All right, I take that back. Manchester City had 51% possession against them, so I was lying a little bit there. But I do think it's going to be a little lower scoring. I don't know if we're going to get the 2-0 Liverpool result again. We're getting a comment from Steve Parada, 0-0 draw, lock it up. I think we're looking maybe we'll get a 1-0 either way. Maybe we'll get a 1-1 kind of thing. But I do like the under in this. Instead of taking the under, I mean, I could take the under. I'm not going to change my bet, but I do like the under 2.5 at plus 120. I'll go Arsenal minus 0.5 corners in the first half. Again, just the assumption Arsenal maybe a little more possession here in the first half. And, Arteta's, still thinking about that prior loss. They're going to want to try and get out early here and try and get that first goal, like Chris's bet, Arsenal first goal at minus 130. So let's say this is related to Chris's bet, Arsenal first goal. So we're going to get Arsenal trying to get that first goal early, and then they're going to get corners. So Arsenal minus 0.5 corners in the first half, minus 110. Maybe, I don't know if it's safer than under 2.5 goals at plus 120, but maybe I like it a little bit more than that bet. So, yeah,
interesting. I was going to ask you, I think they're both set at 4.5 for the, let's see, Arsenal total. Oh, Arsenal's got an over 5.5 and Liverpool's got an over 4.5 corners. Any thoughts on either of those? I was looking at them. I'm like, neither of those look good, but they're both pretty high in terms of corners won in the league, but they both are very good at not conceding a ton of corners, but those seem like small numbers. Any lean?
I mean, if we're thinking under, I don't think this is going to be just like a back and forth game with corners. 5 corners for Arsenal in that last game, and they were probably pushing for the final 20 minutes of that. Liverpool at 2. So I just don't think it's going to be a game where we're going to see like, okay, Arsenal 7 corners, Liverpool 5 corners kind of thing. Maybe if it's Arsenal 2 goals in the first or Liverpool 2 goals in the first 30 minutes, and then it's going to be a little more back and forth. But I don't think either one of us are thinking that's going to be the case in this game. So
nice.
What's your final projection here? You got Arsenal first goal.
Yeah, I think it ends up being 1-1. I would say another 1-1 draw. I don't think. I mean, we formerly before Arteta came in, we always saw like some really fun Arsenal-Liverpool matches, and now they've just become like pretty tight affairs. I think they're less like kind of a bunch of goals. I think back to like a couple 4-2 games. I think there was like a 3-3 at one point, like where there's just a ton of goals. Both teams not really playing a ton of defense, but nowadays I just think the dynamic of both teams is a bit more, I guess, defensive, and they're just a bit more organized. So I think like a 1-1 or like a 2-1. There was a couple other bets I looked at too. Diogo Jota is plus 200 anytime. He's got 3 goals, I think 3 assists in the past few matches. And then I did have, along with my bet earlier, Arsenal money line first half is plus 175. Think about it.
Plus 175. Yeah, correlate that with your Arsenal first goal, though the odds probably aren't as good if you put those together.
Right.
Team parlay time, Chris. So I don't know if I want to bring this up for you, but I've hit my last 4 team parlay bets, and you haven't hit your last 4 team parlay bets.
Wow. I gotta stop taking City on the parlay bets. That's the problem.
Do you want to change your bet here?
I only have 1 bet down for the parlay, so no. Chris took
Manchester City over 7.5 corners in the last team parlay. And we talked about, I asked him if you're worried about Manchester City getting a couple goals early and, not putting their foot on the pedal the rest of the way kind of thing. That's kind of what happened. They scored 2 early goals, I want to say. They finished with 7 corners. It was close because they put Haaland on and they got a few corners late, but they still only had 7 corners. But now this is a Monday. This is Monday Night Football here. Manchester City at Brentford. They are minus 260 to win. Even though Brentford, I believe they won both meetings last season, if not took points in both them. I think they won on the final day, something like that. But what do you got here, Chris? What's your team parlay bet?
Yeah, so Brentford won last year on the final day. It was 1-0. It was a much changed City side. They had already sealed up the title.
Yeah.
And then they also won away at a City last season, 2-1. So kind of interesting that they were able to get – I think they were probably the only team that had all 6 points against City last season. But, yeah, I'm back on the City bets. I think – I watched pretty much most of that Burnley game, and they just – Burnley's a bit different class than Brentford, but still okay side. But they just outclassed them from the jump. Julian Alvarez scored, I think, the first 2 goals, and then it's like you bring on the Transformers in Holland in the second half, and just like very dynamic. So I'm all over City here. I think they just kind of shellac Brentford.
Are they the Gemstones or the Transformers?
I think they can do both.
You said Gemstones.
I had Gemstones last week. This week they're the Transformers. I think they can be both, right? In a perfect world.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, Captain America. I don't know.
Steve's asking if you can bet City to lose their clean sheet after the 85th minute. I'll look this up. I think you can bet something similar to that. But wait, did you give your bet yet? I don't think you did.
No, I didn't. I was interrupted. No, I'm on I think City absolutely smoked Brentford here. Brentford have not been that good lately. They've kind of been struggling a fair bit. I think they've lost 3 of their last 5. They lost to Tottenham last time out. They did beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. That was at home. They're at home again here, but they lost to Wolverhampton in the FA Cup. They drew Wolves in the previous. They had to play a replay, and then they lost to Brentford. So I like City to win by at least 2 goals here. I got Manchester City minus 1.5, plus 115. Getting some nice little plus odds there. I think you got when you put a lineup of KDB, Haaland in there. Everyone else, Rodri's back. He's in the lineup. He is. They've got everyone they need to really dominate this game. And I think probably Haaland starts from the jump, which is a big addition to them. So I wouldn't be surprised, or I feel strongly that City will dominate this game and win by at least 2 goals.
Thomas Frank at home.
No one loves Thomas Frank more than Adam does. It's pretty noteworthy.
They've been playing
pretty
the only the only reason why I think this bet is okay is that Brentford have not looked good. Their defense has been bad no matter what they've done. Then maybe they'll start Sergio Reguilón on the wing on the left side in this one. He was loan locked earlier in the week, so maybe I don't know if that's gonna be the solution to their defensive issues, but they're just allowing goals, and they can't at this point. They can't really change up their lineup too much outside of Reguilón. They're gonna go with their 3-5-2, 5-3-2 in this spot, and then you throw in Haaland, probably his first start in 2 months, kind of a thing. So
yeah. You mentioned you're like a City or Brentford been poor defensively, but they bring in Sergio Reguilón, in a defensive effort. I'm like, does that make them better? Does that?
I mean, they were starting Keane Lewis-Potter, who is basically a forward on the wing, on the left wing in recent matches. So he's better than Lewis-Potter, who I don't know if he has any. I don't know his defensive rating on FIFA, but it can't be better than Reguilón's.
Thomas Frank playing the classic FIFA tactic, like putting his fastest guy at outside back.
They got no one else.
Yeah,
I looked up some numbers. Brentford to score in the second half is plus 245. Actually, Brentford last goal is plus 245. Brentford to win the second half is I just lost it, plus 475. So for what Steve's saying, after the 85th minute, maybe Man City get 3 in the first half, don't score in the second, Brentford get a late one. Kind of what Chelsea just did against Liverpool. So that's in play there. But my side of the team parlay, the one that matters here, the one that we know is going to win,
the one that matters.
As I jinx my bet here, my single game parlay hit last 2 days ago, I guess. It was actually almost the same as this. I took Tottenham money line over 2.5 goals. I was going to take Bournemouth money line and over 2.5 goals, but I didn't need that good of odds. I think you can take that one as well. Bournemouth are home against Nottingham Forest, who have been allowing more goals under their new manager, and Bournemouth looked pretty good at West Ham. Now they're home. I think they're going to beat Nottingham Forest. Pretty good spot for them, I think, to get goals. I think we're going to be looking at like a 3-1, 3-2 kind of result. So if you want to go over 2.5, over 3.5, don't take the team parlay. Just go with a single game bet here, kind of a thing. That's what I like there. But my bet, Bournemouth money line and over 1.5 goals is plus 105. Man City minus 1.5 is plus 105. That is plus 310 odds. How do you feel about Bournemouth home against Nottingham Forest?
That's Gio Reyna's Nottingham Forest now, right?
Sure, if that's what you want to call it.
I think you got the money line. I guess that works.
Yeah,
Nottingham Forest pretty down bad, but are you concerned about Gio Reyna coming on 70th minute and bagging 2 goals in his debut?
Yeah, it'll be 4-1, and then he'll get 2, and it'll be 4-3. I'm fine by it.
And then it's just an all-time Prem classic. We get a lot out of our Sunday morning.
Bournemouth win and over 3.5 is plus 275. So just if you go a little higher there, just get some more money from it.
Yeah, I like the over 1.5 here. That's probably one I'm most intrigued by. All
right, that's all we got for the show. Our 8 winning bets. I'm not going to tweet anything out after we win that first one. I'm not going to jinx this week, though. I probably already jinxed this a couple times on the show. But, by me saying I'm jinxing us means I'm not jinxing us. But here's the cheat sheet. Here's the FPL cheat sheet that Chris was looking at. We actually added a section on this. Now it's this sheet. I don't know. You're going to need the best internet, 1 gig internet, just so you can get this cheat sheet to download quickly. We added goalie stats a week ago, and recently we added team stats per match. So basically, all the stats that you could want. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that because there's probably a lot more things that you need here, but so a lot more stats on the cheat sheet. This is the FPL cheat sheet, rotowire.com/soccer trial, 48-hour trial. Here's what we got. Manchester City, biggest favorite at Brentford, and then Newcastle home against Luton Town. But we got to get out of here. So we ran a little long, talked a little longer on these games than usual. But Chris, you got anything else for game week 23?
A couple of fun games that we already talked to Everton, Tottenham, but I'm excited for that Newcastle Luton Town game. Newcastle at home, very strong. Luton Town's been taking points off teams lately. They've been in a really good form. Just love what they're doing out there. So that's probably what I'll have my eye on Saturday morning.
Yeah, I was looking at it right now. I'm going to take over 3.5 on this Chelsea-Wolverhampton game. As I said, that Wolverhampton defense is fresh in my mind, but so is that Chelsea defense. So
you get it over 6.5.
Over 6.5, another 4-3 result.
Yeah,
Might as well take it. You can find Chris at CHR08 on Twitter. I am at RotoZdroik. You can also follow RotoWire Soccer on Twitter, or make sure to subscribe, like, review all of this. This is a FSWA nominated show, RotoWire Soccer. Shouts to the fans. Shouts to all the listeners. Make sure to give a thumbs up on this video. Good luck on your bets this weekend, everyone. Good luck to Steve P on his Manchester City, though. That is Monday Night Football, so he has a little bit of a wait before Manchester City travel to Brentford and Thomas Frank for that one. Thank you, Chris. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your bets. Good luck with that Liverpool at Arsenal game. Good luck. Arsenal scoring first and then Liverpool winning 2-1. So good luck with that one. Let's win some bets.
Thanks, Adam.